Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, your unscripted SEO podcast host. I am here with Drew Dorenfest, who's going to introduce himself, tell us why we should trust him as an SEO expert while he explains what would you say you do?
So I haven't been doing it as long as you, so I'm a little intimidated, but I've been doing it for about a year. But I've been really amazed by the results I've seen with the clients I've been working with. But I have a company called Client Magnet CRM. Basically, the long story short is that I'm a video editor by trade in Hollywood, working with like biggest brands, biggest studios, Netflix, Apple, Warner Brothers, all that. Doing trailers and promos and sizzles and all that, digital ads for all the movies and TV shows that you know and love. And I've been doing that for many, many years. And then almost a decade ago, I went freelance. And, when you're a freelancer, you're essentially your own business, working with different companies for different lengths of time, whether it's a month, whether that's 6 months. And you're always kind of hustling for that next opportunity and figuring out your scheduling. And then 3 years ago, I formed my own LLC to really take on clients directly instead of being a freelance employee. If a client wants to work with just me, I'm the vendor. They can do that. And then, you're officially your own business. You're paying your own taxes, like a business, all that. And that's really where the rubber meets the road. And getting new clients I found was challenging, especially as trying to get clients outside of entertainment. Be like, hey, I could do video editing for you, whatever, video content, videos everywhere. And a lot of businesses I reached out to were like, we don't really do video. We don't even know where to start with video, And I kind of figured out pretty quickly, or after months of trying, that, not every business needs a video in the same way a movie or a show needs a trailer to really sell it, to market it. And so I really started thinking, like, what does a business need that's not just like a nice to have, it's like an essential. And that's where I really learned about, or like leaned into, reviews. Anytime I'm making any purchasing decision, whether I'm on Amazon looking at products or services like a plumber, weighing one against the other, reviews can be often the deciding factor. And I was like, okay, how do I help businesses get reviews? And then that led me kind of to SEO. That reviews really supercharge SEO. If you're just looking for a service type, for instance, plumber again, whoever has the most reviews, the most recent reviews, is often going to be near the top, especially if you're apples to apples. If you're comparing one that's been in business for 15 years in your area against another that's been in business for 15 years in your area, that might be the deciding factor. So I started really deep diving in SEO and learning it. I applied it to my own business, to my LinkedIn, to my website, and it really started to work to get clients. I kind of stopped doing outbound because I started getting inbound requests. And I was like, this is great. Maybe I can help other small business owners I know with their SEO. And I just offered my services for free to some really close friends at first. And, SEO takes time. They were like, do whatever. Here's our Shopify site. Here's our WordPress site. Like, I trust you, which was great. And, a couple months later, they started to see results and feel more sales. Like, conversions are the only metric I care about. Traffic is nice, but conversions, more sales, is something that a business owner can feel. They can't feel when they get more traffic. They can feel when they make more sales, they get more emails, more calls. And so it really worked. And then I was like, okay, I think I could just reach out, put this out publicly and see who's interested. And so that's where I launched Client Magnet CRM. And I started getting some clients who I don't know. And it's been great. They've been amazed. Like, it's been awesome.
Curious on the service business side. Let's say you're, delivering concrete fences to people's backyards. What has been your journey of creating that material to describe that service? What's your workflow?
Sure.
What's your process? What's your tool set? What's your stack that you're aiming to use to kind of optimize?
So a lot of the time it starts with having many conversations with the business owner to get a sense of where they're at. How long have they been in business? What is their general competition landscape? How do they get clients? What's their main channel for getting clients? And then if they like to do social media, for instance, keep doing social media. It's great. Like, if you are on Instagram all the time and that's how you get lots of sales, by all means. And I don't interfere with that. But if there's other things that they are not doing that maybe they should be doing, channels that they're not on, I can help guide them on that. And then in terms of creating content for their website, take a look at their website and see, first a technical SEO audit and see what can be done on the technical front to clean it up, whether that's cleaning the navigation up. And then if they have a blog, if they haven't touched it in a while, adding to it, adding content, or if they have no blog, creating one, right? And then it's a matter of doing lots of research, right? Like it's deep diving and doing research. I use Claude a lot in terms of tool stack and ChatGPT to do research and help, what is the landscape for this? What is the keywords that I should be targeting, or where am I, what long tail keywords should I be looking at? And then it's, going back and forth. Clients can be as involved with the process or uninvolved as they want. Like I want one client is just like, I don't want to know. Like, just do I trust you? That's great to have that trust. Like, just write whatever you want. And I don't, I'm not going to redesign their website completely. I find like stylistically, it doesn't matter. If it's horrible, like if it's got lots of problems, then yes, it should get cleaned up. But if it's a functional website and it works and you're getting conversions, then you just need to optimize it more than redesign it. So then they don't, everything looks the same on their end. It's just, that blog section or that service pages. So for instance, I got a client who's been in business for about 10 years, and I noticed that like he's in a competitive space. He's in health food, which is, your money or your life categories are harder to rank. And he found that like content depth really was the thing I had to focus on. Of like, you need to really prove your bona fides in this health food space of, tell me more and more about your process of how you create this health food and how it helps you health wise, all that kind of stuff. And let's really lean into that and do some research on the actual like that are not just surface level benefits, that are really like scientific benefits, and that I really work. And then the next thing is go high level. I use a lot for email marketing, or if they have a tool that they like MailChimp, I'm happy to use, help them with that. But I use go high level to do like a lot of automations to build, for instance, like email automations for those, like said, those getting those review requests if they finish their service or complete a service or they make a sale, sending that automatic thank you email with a Google business profile link to leave a review. They don't have to do it. It just runs on autopilot. So that are like those are the main tools I would say.
Yeah, I think looking for soft conversion points is often overlooked. There are many people who are like, "Oh yeah, we need to hammer home, buy this now, buy this now." But I like to pair my conversion points and have it an easy one and a hard one. You know, and
Yeah.
like I did, I worked with a company, um, and we got some special expensive consulting done for conversion rate optimization.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their lessons was, hey, if you're going to have a CTA, have two buttons. Make the one on the right a darker, brighter color, and that's the one you really want them to do, but have like an escape route where you can still get something that's a lighter color or the opposite color next to it, uh, for them to have an escape hatch of like, oh, I don't want to buy now, but I do want this. I do want a PDF. I do want to know, like, get it downloadable, like have an
That is
action
interesting.
item, like to capture their email. So I've really tried to, especially for like homepage CTAs, because the homepage is such a broad spectrum of like, you try to funnel everything there and you end up getting paid traffic, email traffic, direct traffic, organic traffic, now AI citations, etc. So it's such a wild west. So, if you hit just one CTA as the hero, you can often miss the opportunity of, hey, there's a second, like, it's in the hero. And yeah, if they really need your service right now, they want to buy coins online right now, then they'll do it. But if they want to know more, hey,
More
what's the cost
information.
of learn more about, dangers of buying bad silver. I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah,
numerologist, but
I think businesses get really in the weeds and think that people are going to read every single paragraph and every single line that they write on their website. So they kind of treat it like this thing that's behind glass. And it's like, it's a beautiful website. I don't want to mess with it. Someone helped me design it 10 years ago. And I really thought about the wording. And it's like a website should be this ever evolving thing, especially if you're not getting the optimal conversions, that you need to make tiny micro adjustments in the content, in the copy, because people are just going to scan it really quickly. They're going to read it for 30 seconds and then they're going to bounce. So it's in that is really where the trailer editor mindset and my career leading up to this is really where like they come together, because you're condensing something that's complicated and unwieldy and takes a lot of explanation down to just 3 sentences. Like how can you make it so crystal clear and appealing to somebody and capture their attention so that they don't disengage, so they either stay on the page or they start to go toward that conversion, toward those money pages. And that is really what I've been really effective at seeing these small businesses for like what they could be that they maybe aren't quite at because they think someone's going to really like scan all of the details on the page.
My friend Matt Brooks of SEO says that ChatGPT is our least trained but most popular customer support representative. We saw announcements this morning from Google and far and wide, whoever got to break the news first got the SEO benefits of it, that we seem to be getting new data from Google about AI visibility from their LLM tool and Google Search Console. Of course, they were forced into it because Bing Webmaster Tools had announced, and Fabrice Chanel had kind of pushed and goosed the Google to actually start to do something about giving us more data about what's going on with this visibility.
Mhm.
Um, as far as AI and LLMs as a traffic channel, well, or a discovery channel method. What's been your experience with it? I know you said, it's part of your workflows, it's part of my workflows, but on the flip side on that, what's been your experience? I just had a great conversation yesterday with Grant Simmons, legend in SEO, talking about entity SEO and optimization, making sure that you're understood. What's your understanding of the shape of things on that side, and how do you treat it as part of your consultation?
I think that's right on. Entity is super important. It all ties to authority. Like that's how I think of things. If you, for instance, like in health food, if that's your land that you have to attend to, then you got to make sure that you know all the angles, that you have every aspect of that covered, of how it can benefit somebody. So, for instance, I have a client that's in financial services. They do taxes, and they're in California. They also have an office in Nevada and Las Vegas. And so we started creating content that really is hyper specific to the area of California tax code versus Nevada tax code, and gambling taxes and tips on and overtime taxes for people who are in the service industry in Vegas. And the key to all of this, especially to get cited, is to cite your sources, to point to Google, this is where I got this information. And it could be IRS.gov. It could be some other tax firm that did some of this research that has their own sources. And if you could hyperlink to where you got your facts and your figures or what you're citing, then when those crawlers come and they check against, your information, they see the source, then they can verify. If that's all verifiable information, then they go, okay, this is legit. This company is legit. They've been around for 10 years and they have lots of good reviews. I'm going to treat this as a good source. So like that gambling uh, taxes blog post, as soon as we put that up, oh my God, they ranked super quickly because it was like cited sources. People are like want to know this information, who are gamblers, who want to know how to do that on their taxes. And same thing with like anything related to the tax code. So we did one for the same client about student loan interest deduction. Like you get interest on your student loans and you can deduct some of that money on your taxes, and cited our sources, put that up. It gets all of these things are getting cited by ChatGPT, all the LLMs. And then that post literally within like 2 weeks was ranking page one above IRS.gov. It was amazing, like above H&R Block and above TurboTax. This is small tax firm in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and now it's like ranking above these national brands because that content depth just isn't there on some of those other sites. And Google's like, this is a very well researched. I have the tax professionals read these posts and really fine tooth comb and go, is it accurate? And they go, yes, this is all accurate information. This is great. And so it ranks really high, and it brings in lots of traffic, and it establishes them as an authority. So then ChatGPT and all these things go, okay, this is an authoritative business with authoritative content. So that is really, I feel like, the key. And it's hard because, again, like if you're in a competitive category, it's harder to get in those citations, but it can be done if I think if you follow the steps and you really, are backing up your information with verifiable data.
When it comes to entity optimization, a lot of people forget that a lot of people, a lot of SEOs are lonely and sitting behind the computer and forgetting there's a bigger, broader world. Have you done anything that bridges the gap between IRL and digital marketing? Um, I've set up things like a community cleanup for, a data center power system, where they want to be green. They're LNG based and they want to show they give back to the community. So organizing a trash cleanup or two in the communities nearby actually spread a lot of goodwill, where usually, people have the opposite opinion of data centers in general. So being able to be out there and say, hey, we're doing good in the community, want to clean up, want to have clean power and energy. So we're going to clean up your part too, was a goodwill effort for that. Have you um, leveraged IRL stuff or have other things that you talk to your clients and try to get them to do to show their business is more than just a page online?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, so the health food one, he used to do farmers markets every weekend. He's one of my good friends. Our daughters are really like best friends, and you get that free sample at the farmers market. He gives a free sample, and then you take, do you want to buy a bag? Yeah. So I go to the farmers market every weekend too. So then when he had his daughter, he really was like, "This is hard to do. I'm tired all the time." And he took a pause on farmers markets, and he just went purely e-com. The site still existed. He still promoted it. But his sales really took a hit because it's like people couldn't get that free sample. They couldn't taste it. If you're just like, this is the cost of a bag of this. He just sells nuts, sprouted almonds, walnuts, and cashews. And so people will be like, I don't know what it tastes like, so I don't know if it's worth buying. And some people did. And then people who obviously know what it tastes like, they've bought it before, they reorder. And that was great. So when I came into the picture, he still hadn't gone back to farmers markets. He has 2 kids now. We both have 2 kids now. And I did everything. I was like, let's really build your systems out. Let's make sure you got your first order 10% off offer. Let's get abandoned cart automation in there. If someone abandons cart, give them an opportunity to buy again at a discount. Really make sure that we got that email list working, because he had a healthy email list. People who bought from him. Like, let's not just make it a sporadic thing. Let's make this a regular thing. I feel like email is incredibly underrated. People are intimidated by it. They don't want to spam people. But like, if you don't want to read an email, just ignore it. Like, you don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do it every. You do it
Yeah.
once, twice a month. You're good. So he was doing that, and that was great. So it started things pick up a little bit, and then he was like, I think I'm ready to go back to farmers markets. And I was like, I think that's the best thing you could ever do. And he started earlier, beginning of May. He goes 2 farmers markets a week, and it's amazing. It's been like a game changer for him because of the free sample. And so in terms of like what I can do, I'm just consulting, I'm helping. He's one of my good friends, and I'm doing this. I'm like, so listen, we now have the systems in place where if someone comes to the site, they can get the 10% off, and it captures their email, adds them to the email list, you're emailing. But now you have this nice little flywheel, this nice little IRL online conversation that's happening where someone comes, you have QR codes so they can go and they can get, they could follow you on all your socials. They could go to the website and reorder. They know how to find you now, and you know how to capture their email so you can stay in touch with them. They're not just come, get a free sample, and never see them again. And so they go, they taste it, they love it. He does great. And it's like been a complete game changer. So those are one of those things where it's like, okay, some things are really hard to sell online, especially food, if you don't know what it tastes like. So that was pretty exciting that he's back into it. It's going really well out the gate. And I'm like, you should, double and triple down on this to see if like you can get another person to help you out, do other farmers markets. But like, this is really, really working for you. And now in terms of SEO, I'm adding content to get him ranking higher. It's a harder category, but in terms of the people who've bought from him in the past, that's often the best. Like the places that are local, you want that returning customer rate to increase. You want people who've bought from you to
Yeah.
not forget about you. And that is what SEO I feel like can do the best, and is actually really underrated. Is yes, it's all about finding new customers, but don't forget about the old customers, because they might be forgetting about you if they're not on social media, if you're not emailing them, if you're not surfacing on page 1 and 2 or on ChatGPT. Like those, if you've bought from the past, they know that, and they'll help surface you.
I think organic optimization should be viewed as much about audience acquisition through multiple different channels and for through sustained period of time. Like there's so much of SEO that I did in 2010 to 2020 that we could just fish for so many new folk coming in. And I embarrassingly, I remember this deck where I added a slide looking at Google Search Console and I said, I don't care about our branded search. I only care about non-branded queries and terms. That can't survive as an SEO practice anymore. Like you have to care heavily about your branded search. Unbranded too, but
Is
you
building
know,
a
it's
brand. And that same
yeah.
thing, that same health food client, his brand is called the Sprouted Nut Company, and he got very obsessed with the fact there's another Sprouted Nut Company. They have an almost identical name that's in Florida they make nut butters. They don't sell like the nuts like he does, and he doesn't sell nut butters. I'm like, dude, no one's gonna get confused if they're trying to find the nuts and they type in. First of all, like less people are doing that branded search than you maybe think, and just do what you do really well. And you're a competition of people who sell sprouted nuts that don't have the same name, because people are just going to type in sprouted almonds and they're going to look at living nuts or healthy nuts or whatever. And the branded search doesn't matter as much. Now, once he's figured that, he's gotten over that, which is good, because he's like, things are working at the farmer's market and I don't make nut butter, so I don't have to worry about that one. I'm like, but at the same time, like, you're building your brand name is important. So you don't want to change it completely, because everyone who knows you as this, if you switch it to something else just to be unique and original, you're going to lose that juice that you have.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a couple of folks that I've talked off the edge of like, hey, I want to rebrand. Like, I want to rebrand because I'm not showing up for the keywords that I want. Or,
Right.
I've done so many different things on my site. I think Google doesn't understand. Yeah, well, the Google's not going to understand your new entity at all either. So, like, just use the equity that you have and just refine it. Let's go back. Let's expand it. Let's improve it. For for Pete's sake, I've done three different consults where Google literally could not understand that they were a brand. One was savefryoil.com. His brand's Save Fry Oil, so of course the query is like about saving fry oil. So we had to work. I'm like, okay, well, what are you telling Google about yourself? Like, what's your about page look like? Like, I don't have
No, that's my number one piece of advice. Have an about
God,
page, make
have
it
an
good.
about page, make it your entity home. Then
Yeah.
we established a third party podcast, Restaurant Talk by Save Fry Oil, got some restaurateurs to talk to other restaurateurs and build, get links from their top tier sites, from podcasting, transferring that authority, visibility. Oh, boom, there we go. An about page and some, links to that about page
Yeah.
made a huge difference.
I'm sure, yeah, if you're starting from kind of nil, if we're just broken, like doing the minimum basic stuff is going to make a difference. So that's like the free advice you can give any business that if they're willing to implement it themselves, like have an about page, have internal links, have a really clean navigation system, and that will help you just get off the starting line. But, once you get into like things are pretty good and we have a competitive category, then they have to do the magic. You have to go in there and make, consistent effort. I talk about like building things brick by brick. It doesn't happen overnight, but hopefully you see that compounding results, and it takes a lot of time, but then hopefully it just works like a flywheel and it just works and works and works and gets faster and better and easier when you do post content for that to rank.
I'm curious, coming in from the consulting side and, launching it as your own thing now, is was an official sit down to like draw up a business plan something that you ever actually did, or is it this part that you skipped, or like because it sounds like you're pretty bootstrapped about it, but did you ever sit down and like think through the business plan part of it, or you just jumped right in?
No, I did, absolutely. Well, so I have an intern that went to he's a senior now, or he's going to be a senior this fall. But he started me with as going into his junior year last summer, coming in to help me with that. I met him at an alumni event. They had me come and speak with other alumni. I went to University of Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, and they had some like business school students. And I was not a business school student. I was like a film school, like communications. They had, business school students come to LA to learn about the entertainment industry. And this was the day the fires started here in LA. So they actually had their whole trip canceled, which was really scary and crazy. I was like, I'm so sorry they didn't get to go to the studios and the agencies and tech businesses that they wanted to go to. But the night we had was great. The day, we're like, I guess there's some fires going on. It was me and two other people who were like in accounting or like one of the big accounting firms like KPMG or something like that. And I was like the guy with like the cool job, like doing working with brands and doing marketing. And so I guess chatted with them. We had a Q&A and they were really great. And so I stayed in touch with a couple of them. And one got in touch with me and he said, I'm interested in entertainment as much as I am in business. Do you ever take on interns? And I'm like, no, but you could be the first. It's a virtual internship. And like, I did regular in-person internships, editing places. And, I think that's the best. Like a virtual is not super great, but I was like, listen, let's structure it as best we can. Let's do once a week check-in. Let's get on Slack. Let's talk. I'll keep you up to date with everything I'm up to and then keep you in the process. And I was like, but listen, like once we actually started and you agreed to do it, I was like, I'm doing this thing with SEO that's really working. It's exciting and it's not quite entertainment, but I'm bringing that same skill set to small businesses. And he got excited about that. He's like, cool, like I'm entrepreneurial. Like, I think this is great. Let me help you with my business school learning of how we can structure this. Like you said, like make a plan. And I was like, yeah, teach me everything and let me, let's refine it. Things are a little messy sometimes when you're like wading through it, when you're bootstrapping, you're like, we got to do this, we got to do that. So like, we're Client Magnet CRM. That is initially it was Drew Dorenfest marketing because I'm Drew Dorenfest and I had Drew Dorenfest AV for all my trailers and stuff. And so I was like, maybe it's just like a broader Drew Dorenfest marketing and my name's somewhat memorable. But as we started to work on it, I was like, it needs a catchier name and came up on Client Magnet, but there were already a couple Client Magnets that exist. One does like paid ads, one's like more AI focused. And so CRM became this kind of catch-all. It's a little confusing because it's like, we did initially think about launching our own actual dedicated CRM because we use a CRM. We use Go High Level as our CRM, and it became this catch-all of this thing of like CRM encompasses, it's about pipeline. It's about staying in touch with email marketing. It's about keeping all your contacts organized because a lot of businesses, especially small businesses that are a solo operator, are just incredibly disorganized. So that was, as a small business owner, I can be disorganized. I use like a Google Sheet to keep track of a lot of my like projects and stuff. So once I got into CRMs, it really helped. So, helping out, like figuring that all out. So once we were exploring, like say like a CRM dedicated for our clients, it just got messy and we were just like, at a certain point I said like, I don't think this is our best investment of our resources and our time to compete with HubSpot, to compete with Salesforce. I think let's just use a CRM and they're welcome to use our Go High Level, but that's not the main product offering. The SEO is what people want. The email marketing is what people want. More reviews is what people want. And that is what we should be focusing on. So you have to make those kind of executive decisions while you're messily figuring out this business that you're building. But he was very helpful at giving us a roadmap and building us systems. So it's actually like a fun like flip on like the generational divide. I'm a lot older than him, but like I'm doing a lot of the like tech work. I'm like more of the like in the weeds on the technical stuff, and he's like a lot of like big picture systems thing, which is great. He brings that acumen, and I'm happy to work together like that. So he's still working with me. We've been working nonstop since last summer, and he's helping doing a lot this summer too.
I'm curious, has oxygen monitoring products. Obviously, that comes out of regulation. So when your product, that you're bringing to the market is there because of regulation, because people have to abide by it, does that play by different rules than versus, it's less I have to versus I want to?
You mean like a regulated industry, like
Yeah,
broad?
definitely.
Yeah, so I only have one regulated client, the one that's in financial services, and so yeah, I am open to take on regulated industry clients. I have like in my terms and conditions, like we have to have more of a conversation about it. It's not just like hit a button to sign up. It has to be kind of special pricing because there's confidentiality. Confidentiality. There's HIPAA if you're in medicine, client privilege and legal. And financial, it just has to be accurate. Like you can't just offer junk advice because it is their money. In taxes is cut and dry. Like you have clear tax codes. They run a very clean, like by the books business, but they know the tax code. They know where the deductions are. And so they're really, that's why every piece of content, everything that I create for them, I make sure that they review it first because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to put something else that's out there, especially, and same thing with health too. Like, if it's something that's like health benefits, that's another thing where it's like, does this seem, you would say accurate? I was like, are you the one that's a health food client? I'm like, are you organic? And he was like, well, organic is, a special designation that you have to meet certain standards. He's like, we're all natural. He's like, we're as close as you can get. And he's like, no, but I would not do that. Like legally, it's not right. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's all kind of stuff like that. That is critical to get in the fine details and really like make sure that the stuff that you're doing is by the book, because this all is new to me. Like I, as in someone who came from the creative field, like you have a movie, it can be a crazy R-rated comedy. You could have crazy R-rated conversations with your coworkers about it, but like you're just trying to make something really cool or funny or exciting. And this is all, regulated industries. All this kind of stuff is new but exciting because it's bringing that marketing to a business that small business owners just focusing on every day. Like I just want to stay in business one more day, right? And for someone who's coming in, it could take a more of a fuller, like bird's eye view of it. Can go like, okay, well, I see you're doing this really well, and what about this? Have you thought about this? And they go, oh no, I never thought about that.
As a kind of wrap up here, give a shout out to where people can find you if you have any particular resources. If you're on a social media channel in particular where people can ask questions, get more information from you and what you're working on.
Of course, yeah. So my website is clientmagnetcrm.com. All my socials are at Client Magnet CRM, and you can follow me on LinkedIn, just personally, Drew Dorenfest. I'm happy to connect with anybody. I'm doing more podcasts and stuff, and yeah, I'm pretty easy to reach.
Thanks so much for your time, Drew. Great conversation.
Thanks, Jeremy.